Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live demonstration or live webinar of Florian, our adaptive tactical command software, and all that it's capable of. Today, what we're going to be focusing on is its Enroute capabilities. And this is inspired by actually our recent trip to Boston. So last week, we spent all week with the Boston Fire Department, and we were training them on their Phase 1 Enroute capabilities and how to utilize Florian. And as they roll out Florian within their department, we're sort of phasing things in. Phase 2 will take into an officer up approach, and Phase 3 will finally be full-on accountability. So for the purposes of today's webinar, we're going to be solely focusing on the Enroute capabilities of Florian, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So I welcome you to ask questions, make some comments down in the chat. Please get involved as much as you'd like. Please like the video and share. We really appreciate any sort of interaction that we can get. So let's begin. So we're going to start off here with our slideshow in regards to Florian. And let's see here. Hang on. Okay, there we go. So it looks like we lost feed for a second. So we're going to start off here in regards to essentially what is our Enroute capabilities. So what are those? Okay. Today we're going to be going over receiving and acknowledging an incident. We're going to speak about dispatcher details and remarks, which is a new feature that we have added in to Florian. And also we're going to speak about turn by turn, then maps, satellite, terrain, and street view. So we have 3 different map views. We'll talk about our water supply grid, hands-free use voice commands, Scribbles, and finally apparatus ETAs and vehicle locations. So to start off, let's talk about our interface. Okay. Florian exists in sort of an MDT setup or an MCT, whatever your department may call it. But here we have an example of a Toshiba Toughbook and Florian running and operating on that software. So Florian will exist in your taskbar or your start menu like many other programs, and it runs on any Windows 10 device. So any device that's running Windows 10 and up will give you the ability to run Florian successfully. So first off, we will start with our menu panel. We'll discuss that. We'll talk about the accountability anchor, and we will talk about our tool tray. So let's go ahead and open up Florian, and let's discuss those quickly. So we have Florian here. Along the left-hand side, you can see we have what we call our menu panel, okay? The right-hand side over here, you can see our accountability anchor, where we can expand or collapse different resources, okay? And then down along the bottom, we have what we call our tool tray, which houses different annotations, such as area, structures, and scribbles. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this past scribble here because we're gonna start fresh. And I'll bring us into terrain view so we can view, just get a little bit of a better view in regards to what Florian has to offer. So that is the overall view of Florian, and that is what we call our interface. So let's go ahead and open up here, go to the next topic, which is acknowledging the incident and dispatcher details. Well, in order to acknowledge an incident in Florian, it's really simple. I will pull it up here for you and I will show you. So within Florian, we have, this is kind of our base view, okay? Now this view includes your map, it includes your incident list, okay? And you can start a new incident if you want, but again, it gives you access to the menu panel. So in the top right-hand corner, let's say that we have this incident at 1658 Washington Street in Boston. Well, as soon as we click on that, in order to acknowledge the incident, what we want to do is we want to click this little button over here that says A, or acknowledge. Also says join session. So as soon as we click on that address, you're going to see that it pops you right to the location of the incident, which is pretty useful, we think. So we'll go ahead and acknowledge that incident, and Florian's going to pull us in, and as we can see, the first screen that we have access to is actually what we call our dispatcher remarks or incident notes. So as this syncs up and it pulls us into the incident, this is an opportunity for us to see any dispatcher remarks. Maybe we have an example of, hey, somebody is stuck on the first floor or the second floor of the building. I'll actually swap over to our presentation here to show you some more examples of what that is. So give me a second to pull this up. All right, so if we wanted to acknowledge the dispatcher details, what do those look like? Well, we can see here that we have a caller reports fire in 5 Adam, okay, which is along the left-hand side here. We have a smoke reported in apartment 6 Charlie, and it's going to be a little bit difficult to see because my camera is covering it, but it says people trapped in apartment 12 Adam. So we can see along the left-hand side that those 3 remarks pull up. So right away, you'll be able to see some information. These are 911 caller notes, and it's going to give you really a wealth of information on the incident itself, not so much the structure, but the incident itself. And another nice feature that what we've generated here is also turn-by-turn directions. So what are turn-by-turn directions? Well, obviously, we all know what those are. If you've ever used Waze or Google Maps or Bing Maps, really any sort of a turn-by-turn application, it gets you from your current location to whatever your destination is. And in regards to this, our destination is going to be obviously the incident. So it's really, really simple in that regard. How do we access turn-by-turn? Well, if I pull up Florian here, we said that we have our incident panel. I'm going to go ahead and close down those dispatcher remarks and 911 caller notes. In the bottom right-hand corner, we have our address here. Next to that, we have get directions. If I were to click that button, it's going to take me from where I am today, which is located in Buffalo, New York, and it's going to give me a turn-by-turn layout, essentially all the way, how to get all the way to Boston, Massachusetts, because that is actually where the incident is located. So it's going to take me all the way down the 90 here, the 90 East, about 500 miles. And you'll see that. So we have some other features, okay? So that's how we open up turn-by-turn navigation. We also give you the ability to have a list view as well if you want. So we can see here, head east, turn right onto North Oak Street, turn left onto East Tupper, keep left the freeway towards Kensington Expressway, etc. So we can show and hide that list view simply by clicking this button here. And in your MDT, that would simply be a click of your finger. So if I take my finger here and I click it, you're going to see we get that also touch ability as well. And if we want to exit navigation, we can just by simply clicking the exit navigation button. It really, really is just that simple. We made Florian that simple. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and take a look, see if we have any comments so far. So it looks like we got 8 viewers. Once again, we urge you, please leave some comments down in the chat if you have any questions whatsoever. Make sure to leave them. I will, the whole point of doing this live is so that I can address any real-time questions that you have. So it looks like we have about 9 viewers right now. I just want to take a second to stop and say thank you very much for joining in with us, and hopefully we give you some good a wealth of information on Florian and how to utilize that. Today, obviously, we are solely focusing on the Enroute capabilities, and that really is sort of an MCT or an MDT experience with Florian. So if we continue and we move right along here, we'll pull up our presentation one more time. Okay, so that is our turn-by-turn. Now, if we continue on and we look at incident maps, okay, so there are 3 different types of maps that we supply you with in Florian. Okay, one is going to be the terrain or satellite view. Another is going to be the street view. And lastly, we're also going to give you the water supply grid. So if we focus on our terrain and satellite views for a moment and we swap back over to Florian, this is what we call our terrain view. Okay, so in this view, you get a very nice, very bare bones view of the incident. Let me click in the bottom right hand corner here. So this is our address. If I click that, it's going to snap us directly back to the incident. So let me go ahead and just do that snap us right back to the incident and overhead. So what does our terrain view afford us? Well, it gives us a very nice 3D footprint of the buildings that we are actually en route to, and it lets us very easily see the streets, the street names. It's a very uncluttered view of Florian. So what we tend to call this is our operational view. Okay. In terms of operational, what do we mean? Well, when you have dots on the screen, when you have people staged. So let me just add somebody real quick here. I'm going to go ahead and add personnel here. So we're going to add engine 2. We'll click that. Where do we want to drop this person? Well, we want to drop them right there. Okay. So we have engine 2 is arriving to the scene. Okay. Let me hide these here for you, because staged is actually going to be what my personal this PC is. So anytime you have an MCT view, we're going to see that'll come up as staged in the moment. So we're en route, and it allows us to see our dots. If we want to go ahead and do something like change the color, okay, we can do that. I'm going to change our engine to red. Save it that way. So now what a terrain view allows us to do is just have a very uncluttered view of Florian. Okay. If we take that a step further, what does satellite view mean? Well, if we click in the top left-hand corner on our map icon, we can change to satellite view. Now, what this gives us is a really, what I consider a really beautiful view of our structure. So this allows us a wealth of information of what the structure we're about to visit is. Okay, so we simply were given an address of 1658 Washington Street. Okay, well, there's very little that we can gather from just an address. But when we pull 3D maps, and when Florian pulls 3D maps into the incident and allows you to actually get a bird's eye view, we think that that's really powerful. So look at this. We can actually look on the roof here. We can see some humongous, dead loads that are on the roof. So we have some AC units. We have maybe some solar panels. We can see all of that by taking a look at the 3D view. We can also see exactly how tall the building is. So I zoom out here and drop down a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can see that it also varies in height, which is very useful. It looks like we've got a 4-story building here, and we've got a 6-story building here. Just very quick, attached directly to it. So there's a lot of information that we can gain from the structure when we're en route, and satellite allows us to do that. So satellite, essentially, what I would say, the way we normally equate this, or we sort of relate it in the firefighting world, is it allows you to do sort of a digital size up of the building. Of course, we can't show you a live photo or a live video feed, so it's difficult for you to understand how the fire is progressing, but at least you'll have an idea of the structure when you're en route. So that's satellite versus terrain mode. Once again, terrain mode, what does that allow us to see? That allows us to see still a 3D footprint of the building, okay? But it also allows us to see our resources and where they are in relation to the building. Because if I just show you this here, so if I click back into satellite mode, you see that the red dot can sort of blend in maybe a little bit. If we're zoomed far out, it can be a little bit difficult to see that red dot. So that's why we say operationally, once you're on scene, terrain mode is really going to be the mode for you. I'm just going to check in and see if we've got any questions in our chat. John Riker, turn by turn, get on scene. It's not about speed, it's about accuracy. So we can understand that, John. I want to say thanks for leaving that comment. That comment in the comments below. So let's see. It can help eliminate indecision and uncertainty. So to let you guys know, John Riker is one of our trainers, and he just spent a week with us in Boston. So he's got his whole pitch down here. So let me see if I can go ahead and recreate this for John. So turn by turn, what's the value? The value is getting on scene. It's not about speed. It's about accuracy. Florian obviously cannot eliminate traffic and congestion, but it can eliminate the indecision and uncertainty. So I really like that piece because, maybe so for some of the new people that are out there, maybe some new drivers that are in training, they want to understand how to get to the incident quick enough, and they don't know the layout of the city as well as some of the seasoned guys with seniority. So turn by turn is really valuable for that. So thanks for pointing that out. So let's see. Knowing the correct route to an incident means you can concentrate on what really counts, which is a safe response. Man, he's got this stuff. He's got this stuff down pat. I love it. Thanks for the contributions, Chief Riker. Appreciate it. Use the map to get a block-by-block visualization of the route, or turn-by-turn word option that gives accurate instruction every mile of the way. So thanks for pitching in on that, Riker. I really appreciate it, Chief. All right, so continuing on with our presentation here. Okay. Let's see. So what's the next one? So if we want to talk about hands-free, actually, you know what? Let me hop back for a second, and I'm going to show you a very nice feature that we actually just added. We just added into Florian just about a month ago, and that's the ability to have street view. So that's really, really valuable, because something like this, the satellite view, it gives you a really nice bird's eye view of the structure that you're about to visit. Mind you, it's always a sunny day. Say if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and there's smoke surrounding the building, you may not get a very good vantage point to see the entire structure. Okay, so that, again, that's also the value of that's the value of the satellite view, is that it's always a sunny day. As we could see, everything's bright. You can see all angles of the building. You can orbit around it. Okay, you know, we can zoom in, we can zoom out. But now, let's say this lacks detail. See, I can only zoom in so far here, and we really lack detail on the facade of the building. So how do we get that? Well, we created a feature called Street View, and what that does is that utilizes Google Maps or Bing Maps. It's really your choice. Your department can choose to get a street level view of the building. So how do we access that? Well, if we click in the bottom right hand corner right next to our address here, you're going to see that we have a little guy that says enable street view. If we click that, now look at this here. Look at the beautiful picture that we get of the facade of this building. Okay, now we can see, okay, so this is 4 stories, this is 6 stories. We can see sort of the mansard roof, that we get a very high detail photo of the facade of this building. Look at how much we can zoom in. Okay, look at what we can understand, sort of some of the commercial layout if it's a taxpayer building. Okay, well, we've got a coffee shop down below. Again, these are just tools. However your department decides to use them is really up to you. What we just supply you with is a few tools. So again, we hand you the Halligan. How you decide to utilize that is really up to you. So something like Street View, what's the value of it? Well, we can also move down the street. We can click and we can tap and we can move down the street as well. So it really gives us multiple vantage points. We can understand some of the exposures here. Maybe when we're en route, we can start to understand this gate. This gate is approximately 12 feet wide, 10 feet, 12 feet wide. So the exposure, we're going to need to be concerned about that exposure. So those are some of the things that Street View can afford us. And that's our third map view. So let's hop back over to our presentation, and we'll talk about hands-free use. Okay. Now, what is hands-free use? Well, everybody has the ability to use Siri, to use Google, to use Alexa. We have implemented that within Florian. Okay. So how do we take advantage of that? Well, we have several different options of commands that you can use. Everything from Florian show satellite, Florian satellite view, to Florian terrain, Florian show street, Florian hide street, Florian show details, Florian hide details. All of these things are usable commands within Florian. And if you just heard the chime, that lets you know that Florian heard you. So that just happened, actually. The chime, it heard me while I was just going through some of the examples. So let me pull up Florian. Okay. Florian show satellite. So see what it's doing is it's cycling through the previous commands. So this is what I'll do here. Florian hide street view. And there we have it. It hides street view. Okay. Florian show terrain. There we go. It pulls up terrain. Florian show details. It pulls up the details. Florian, hide details. There we go. So once you get your phrasing down, you could see how Enroute, it's something that's really, really valuable. It's a real valuable feature of Florian. The ability to speak and not, we understand when you're in the apparatus and you're bouncing around, or you're in your chief's truck and you're en route to an incident, you may not be able to click that button on the screen, but simply by saying, Florian, show satellite, let's see if it's going to acknowledge. So because I'm talking, that's the thing. We have to understand our phrasing. So I have to pause before I say it because it thinks it's one large sentence and it's trying to decipher what I'm saying. Florian, show satellite. Florian, show street view. Florian, hide street view. Florian, show terrain. Florian, show details. Florian, hide details. So we can see really how useful of a feature that is. I think it's pretty amazing. And it works obviously very, very quickly. So once again, I want to prompt if there's any questions so far on some of these features that we went through in regards to Florian and its Enroute capabilities. Please leave them in the comments section below. Make sure you say hi. We'd like to know what department you're from if you're visiting us. If this is your first time watching one of these live demonstrations, please let us know in the comments below. Other than that, let's get back to the presentation. So that was some of our, our hands-free use, some of the capabilities that hands-free use affords us. And let's continue on to something like Scribbles. So we've gone over Scribbles prior in previous webinars. And it's a fairly straightforward and a fairly simple tool to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our Microsoft pen here, and I'm going to bring us back over into Florian. Okay. And what are the use of Scribbles? Well, Scribbles are quick commands or something you can use as a quick action to back up a verbal command. So we still fully understand that the two-way radio is the lifeline of the fire service. And we're not here to change that. But what we are here to do is assist you in backing up some of those verbal commands with a written note on the screen. So if we want to create a scribble, how do we do this? Well, if we go down to the bottom of our screen, we can open up the tool tray, okay? And down here along the bottom right-hand side, you're going to see Scribble. So when I click this button, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lift up my Microsoft pen. And you can really do this a number of ways. You can even do this with your finger if you want. But say that we're en route to the incident and we want to go ahead and convey what the alpha through delta sides of the building are. So I'm just going to go ahead and write the alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and delta sides of the structure. Okay. I'm going to name that sides. And then I'm going to save it. And just like that, just that quickly, that is stuck to the map and that syncs across all devices. So one of the interesting things that I'd like to discuss is when we were in Boston, some of the chiefs were saying, is there a way that we can use that other than just alpha through delta? And of course, you can use it really. Again, these are just tools that we want to give you to be resourceful with. So if I take my finger and I click on the color button down here in the bottom left-hand corner, let's just go ahead and change the color of our next scribble. So I'll make it sort of like the Florian purple. Okay, close that down. And then I'm going to take the pen again and I'm just going to draw here. So let's say we want to convey. What do we want to convey? Let's say that this is the wind. Okay, how fast is the wind traveling? Well, let's say it's 15 miles per hour. Okay. And I'm going to name that wind direction. And I'm going to save it. Now, this, again, it's saved on the map and it syncs across all devices within 3 to 5 seconds. So 5 is the maximum amount of time. There really is no minimum. It depends on the connection speed. But this is such a small amount of data that it really syncs very quickly. So now all our entire command structure and a lot of our Enroute apparatus understand what the direction and the miles per hour of the wind is. So maybe if we understand that, we want to we want to get in and we want to focus on maybe these exposures. If we know the wind is gusting at 15 miles per hour from the south, or from the west. Okay, wind is coming in from the west at 15 miles an hour. Now we know to protect some of these exposures. So that is just a couple use cases of Scribbles and how powerful they can be. So I've got a couple questions here. Let's see here. So can the Florian street maps and turn by turn be used independently with the CAD system? So Richard, thank you very much for that question. So when we say independent, I'm gonna pose a question back. I want to make sure that I'm very clear in answering this question. So what we would do is we would integrate with the CAD system. Okay, and what happens is when a 911 caller calls in, okay, and fire alarm takes down their information, or 911 takes down their information, and that's passed along to fire alarm. As soon as that CAD bursts that information out, and say if you're using Purvis system, the firehouse hears structure fire. What's the address here? 1658 Washington Street in Boston, Massachusetts. Once that information is sent out from CAD, we can ingest that, and that's what we use to get that information. Is we really prefer to integrate with a CAD system, because if we don't have the address, we really can't send you anywhere. So it's really important that we're not sending people to erroneous addresses, but the address that was provided by the CAD. Now, if you wanted to use this turn-by-turn, if you wanted to use the turn-by-turn feature independent of the CAD, if that's what you're asking, what if we don't have a CAD, or what if we don't have a way to share the incident location? Well, let me pull up Florian again here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave that previous incident. So what will happen is when the CAD populates an address, it'll show up here under the incident panel, essentially. So say that we know. Let's take my folks' house. So what we can do is, if we want to operate independently of the CAD, we can start a new incident. So down below in the bottom right hand corner, we'll start a new incident, and we'll just search an address. 4008 Crescent Drive, and that's in North Tonawanda. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to search that. It gives us the address. We click here, okay, and we can start a new incident. So that's the way you'd be able to do that independent of the CAD. If you don't have that CAD data populating, or if you don't give that CAD data to us to ingest, now we see that we have my location. I'm located in Buffalo, New York, right here. Okay. What's the incident location? It's over here. So let's go ahead and get turn-by-turn directions. We go ahead and click the turn-by-turn button, and it still populates the same way as before. So it says my ETA is 23 minutes and 58 seconds. Okay. It gives me the entire list expanded out. So that's one way that you could use turn by turn independent of using it with a CAD system. I hope I answered that question correctly. Let me know if I did in the comments below. Let me know if I didn't. Okay. So I will go ahead and hop back over to our comments section, and let's see here. So will you be discussing your wearables for internal tracking? Lebanon Fire and Rescue Fitness. Let's see. So, Mark, thank you very much for the question. Today, we're not going to be covering the wearables. We're really on the heels of Training Boston on their Phase 1 introduction to Florian, and that covers Enroute capabilities. So that inspired this webinar today. So let's see. If you want, make sure to follow the page. Go ahead and ask some questions or get involved in some of our other posts. to keep track of when we'll do another one of the base features, which includes the tracking. So, okay, I was asking if Florian can be added into any CAD system such as InfoShare. So, Richard, thank you very much for following up your question. I really appreciate it. Yes. What we vow as the creators and developers of Florian is to never be the roadblock, okay? We vow to integrate with any system. We have made an adaptive system that we, again, as long as the CAD provides us the information, we will ingest that and we will utilize it. So right now, one of the CADs that we work with most is Hexagon. But we vow to really integrate with any CAD system. So great question. I really, really appreciate that. I will look into InfoShare, and maybe what we can do is we can reach out to them and talk about an integration if your department ever has any interest in utilizing Florian. So if you don't mind me asking, Richard, what department you're with, I'd appreciate some of that information. Or you can message us separately using Facebook Messenger, and we can kind of start that conversation if you're interested in it. So all good questions. Mark, I apologize for not getting too far into the internal tracking for this webinar, but as you know, we do them every other week. So next week we will pick back up with the tracking. I just wanted to kind of continue on with the momentum that we had in Boston, which was a lot of our Enroute capabilities. So thank you very much for asking that and for your, your interaction. I appreciate all the questions so far. So the last thing we went over was Scribbles, obviously, and that brought us, and then we had some questions about turn by turn. So to touch on Scribbles and the value of it, to conclude with Scribbles, you could see some of those features, whether it's wind direction, and actually, you know what, I'll hop back into Florian and I will go ahead and exit navigation. But what I want to do is I want to show you another, valuable part of Scribbles is it really is any way that you want to use it. So say that you don't have a pad and paper, okay? Say we want to talk about our primary search, okay? Primary search, secondary search, say you want to keep those just as a note on the map, okay? So what I can do is I can say searches, name that searches, and I'll save it. So it saves to the map, and then say later we want to go in and we want to update those. Well, all I need to do is I can click on the annotation searches. It shows it was a scribble. I click on that, and I can go ahead and cross those out. Hey, those two have been completed, and now I'm going to save that. Now, once again, all of our command structure knows that those two searches have been completed, and we're good to go. So that is also another way that Scribbles is really has a lot of value. So let me get back into the presentation and hop back over. Let's see here. All right, good. All right, and let's move on to ETA and vehicle locations. So how do we achieve this? Well, this sort of touches on, Mark, what you were asking about, which is the location. Now, we're not dealing with the internal location, but right now what we are talking about is AVL, or automatic vehicle location. So your apparatus, your incoming apparatus, are going to be displayed as dots on a screen, okay? Here we can see on the panel in this example, engine 22 is 4 minutes out, okay? They're going to roll up under your accountability anchor, and they will be displayed as engine 22, engine 3, rescue 2. So, and it's also going to give you the ETA there as well. So we can see, obviously, not to be, repeat myself, but engine 22 is 4 minutes out. Engine 3 is on scene. They're zeroed out. We know that there is there's no countdown at all. So we can see that engine 3 is already on scene. And as long as I don't cut this off too badly with my camera, we can see that rescue 2 is 5 minutes out. Okay. So how is that displayed on the map? Well, it's going to work in conjunction. Not only are you going to be able to see in your accountability anchor the ETAs and the times for your incoming apparatus, but you'll also be able to see that on scene. So obviously right now I don't have anything to track. I have no apparatus. So we made up a little PowerPoint slide to sort of demonstrate how that is, how that's represented within Florian. So let's see. We can view our arriving companies. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to hide my camera for just a second. Okay. So let me hide my camera and we'll go full screen here. So we can view our arriving companies. And how are those displayed? Well, very similar to your other resources and personnel. Those are displayed as dots on screen. So we can see engine 3 is on scene. Ladder 17 is making its way in. And also, what's the other one here? Okay, so we have ladder 17 is before, but we will see command 4 or car 4. And we'll also see Rescue 1. So that's how they're going to appear, is you're going to see them as they roll in on your 3D map. Now, again, if you want to use terrain view, you'll be able to see them traveling down the street. So it's a really, really useful feature. As other companies arrive, we're going to see things like Engine 7 is arriving on scene, and also Ladder 18. So this is just a very visual guide to show you how people are being represented. And once again, you'll see them in the accountability anchor. You'll see them in the accountability. Let me unhide my camera real quick. So you'll see them in the not only in the accountability anchor, but you also see the dots arriving on screen. And we feel that that's very useful. If you just want to zoom out real quick, use how quick Florian's map screen is to be able to see some of your arriving companies. So we've kind of gone through some of the steps of an incident. So we've gone through acknowledging the incident and accepting that. We've gone through the dispatcher notes. We'll go through here. So obviously we've gone through receiving and acknowledging the incident. We've gone through the dispatcher details and remarks, 911 caller notes. We also have discussed turn by turn. We've gone over our map satellite view, terrain and street view. We've talked about hands-free use and our voice commands. And we've also talked about Scribbles and apparatus ETA and vehicle locations. So let's see here. I have any questions? Mark just says thanks. So thank you, Mark. Thanks for the interaction. I really appreciate it. So if you have any questions, make sure to leave them as a comment on this video, or you can go ahead and reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter. You can also email us at info@3aminnovations.com. You can visit our website, florian.app, to educate yourself a little bit more on the capabilities of Florian. There's a lot of information out there, and even check back on some of our previous webinars that we've hosted in the past. And there's a lot of really good information in there. So just to go ahead and wrap this up, that is some of the Enroute capabilities of Florian. I want to say thank you very much for your time, your attention. We had some really great questions today. We will be hosting another webinar in 2 weeks' time. But if you have at any point you wish to gain some additional information on Florian, we make ourselves available. You can email me directly if you like, brandon.zarbo@3aminnovations.com. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate the attention, and stay safe out there, everybody.